Welcome to another episode of the Lucky Clover podcast, our second episode. I'm Austin with co-host Aaron. No Matt today. He's feeling a little under the weather, so get well soon, Matt. Um, Nothing too new with the Celtics, at least lately. Obviously, we had the Gallinari injury, kind of weeks old information. We're not going to get into all that. If you've probably very well seen by now, the update with that situation. But we are going to talk about a recent interview with the Celtics owner, Wyc Grousbeck, as well as get into the um, Sarver. That's his name, right?
Yes,
Yeah, the
Robert Sarver.
Suns. Just wanted to make sure I got that right.
Yeah,
Sarver of the Suns. We're going to get into that whole situation as well, because there's definitely a lot to unpack there as well. So, in terms of the Wyc Grousbeck interview that happened lately, he ended up kind of calling the Celtics overrated in a sense. He was asked about, the whole Celtics run to the finals and how he felt about it. And to quote him, he said, "I loved being right there with them. It was thrilling. The other side of the coin is I think that we're now being overrated. I think the performance was a bit overrated in the public mind or my own mind because I'm the one saying it. We were a finalist and 2 wins away from winning it. But when you look back, Brooklyn was a tough series, and then we had to go 7 games against the Bucks and the Heat. Then we lost to Golden State. So we're not a hands down team to repeat as Eastern Conference champions. I think we're a quality team." Now, last week, or not last week, but last episode, Matt and I had said that it's championship or bust season. Obviously, you were a little hesitant on that. Um,
yeah,
I I completely understand. Honestly, agree with everything Wick is saying. I do believe that most people do think that the run was overrated. Just on other people who watch the NBA that I talk with, like, obviously Bucks took us a 7 game without their all-star Chris Middleton and like
sure.
secondary scorer. Not to mention he's underrated defensively. He's a good wing defender, so I'm sure he also would have
So,
made things tough on that side of the floor as well. And obviously Miami, they were struggling with some injuries as well. Not really as much, probably none as significant as the Bucks, but
no,
they were also Jimmy Butler's 3 away from probably going to the finals and knocking the Celtics out. So I
yep,
completely understand where Wick is coming from on that. I think, he's obviously trying to maybe not make expectations so high just because, I mean, he said that even later in the interview, he said that this is not me like trying to, you know, kind of, underwhelm anybody, or, what like he's not trying to get, kind of crap on the team at all. He believes that the
no,
team he said he'd pick the team any day over another team in the East. But I mean, it is kind of important to keep kind of realistic expectations. I think,
for sure.
you know, prepare for the worst, hope for the best type thing. I mean, nothing's ever guaranteed. We mentioned that before as well. Um,
Right.
so I I totally think that the Celtics could get back to the NBA
Yeah,
Finals.
no, for
Obviously,
sure.
I think a lot has to go right, and we'll get into that as well. But what are your kind of I kind of thoughts about what he said? I mean, I'm sure you probably agree to
Yeah,
some extent. I don't really think the Brooklyn series was tough, but I think the Bucks and the Heat series could have gone either way. But
yeah. Yeah, no, I think it was like I think the net series was tough for a 4 game series. That's I
yeah,
would say that like we definitely had like what game one was what was to
game
us
winner.
a game winner on Tatum's part. So definitely like I don't think that was as dominant as the 4 would say, but I wouldn't say that that one was extremely that tough.
It
I
wasn't
thought
it
we were
wasn't
pretty in
super
control.
tough.
We
It was
we were in
challenging.
control.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, you have Kevin Durant on the opposite team. I don't think there's any. I don't know if maybe even his rookie sophomore year, which I don't know if he made the playoffs then, but since maybe his 3rd year, I don't think there's been a playoff series against Kevin Durant that's been easy. It's just how it works. He's just
Yeah,
like one of the
Kevin
all time
Durant,
greats.
and not to mention Kyrie as well. So
Yeah, for sure. When he wants to play and not he's in the US, not Canada. But he but like I like yeah, I mean when you have this, it has rarely ever been a game 7 a series that has been like dominant. like if you're winning, if you're losing 3 games and winning 3 games, it's gonna be I mean you're going to that. It's a coin flip. I mean, so you didn't win. You won the minimum amount of games you won just over 50%, which is like 4 out of 7. I'm not doing the math. I'm bad at math, despite my real time job. But I'm an accountant, by the way. But like when you go 2 game 7s, like yeah, like that's like you're talking about like 2 coin flips in a row, which could have been again, like you said, like what like a 3 away, but like it's the overrated is like depends on what you do. We're fine because like some people see like okay, the Celtics went to the finals, they're gonna go to the finals again. That's maybe a little overrated. Like they definitely could, but yeah, I don't think this is like when you go to 2 game 7s, like you never can really you never should be a super hard favorite because I mean like you got as close like it's no like Celtics like '08, which is like they literally didn't they lost every single game away until the Eastern Conference Finals and
Yeah.
they so like that's so we at least had like one series which was super close, which was not so super close. But yeah, I mean I actually think he's kind of like and like you said, I think the other part I want to acknowledge is the championship plus mentality, which is like you have to have mentality. But like I said last episode is every single team that is like in that championship range, being the Bucks, the Heat, the Celtics, and the Nets, literally all 4 of them can win a championship at any point. And that's part of the reason you might say it's overrated, is you have to think every season is a championship bust because everyone's like the NBA is a classic, like it's an arms race. You just everyone's trying to get more weapons. Like you see, like last year, like we could say like, oh well, we faced 4 good teams. Well, those teams stay the same, and then you have the Cavs who added Donovan Mitchell. I mean, everyone is just
Yeah.
stocking up on talent. So
It's tough. That's another tough 4 games for you in the conference. So
for sure. And then so to say like we are a dominant, amazing team, amazing, yes, dominant, no. So it's like I definitely think like I would like if like as a Celtics fan, like I would be like, this is ecstatic. I think this is like one of the best teams we've had in a while, considering like it's the same team we had last year, added with almost the same team, added Malcolm Brogdon and we're not calling out. So Malcolm Brogdon, which is just I think Malcolm Brogdon is a great solution, and most of the core, and then Malcolm Brogdon is a great team. So because we made the finals without Malcolm Brogdon, so yeah, I think again, like I said, like the last episode, I think this is every if you're a top tier East team, top tier West team, this championship bust you have to, but we are a young championship bust team, which is makes it that's kind of an oxymoron, but I mean it's kind of different between mentality and the reality, which is mentality is a championship bust, but reality is like Tatum is 24. It's crazy. Well, like there's only been a handful of teams in history that have had a 24-year-old superstar Tatum. And he's maybe not LeBron or Jordan, but he's a great player. So we're good hands.
yeah, absolutely. They have the talent, like we said last episode. They have the talent to do it. It's just a lot of things have to go right. I mean, even though they did add Malcolm Brogdon, they added Gallinari, obviously out with the ACL injury. That was updated.
Yeah.
But I think that, you know, they can't lay off the gas like they did kind of last year in the beginning. I think they have to come out they have to come out guns blazing this year,
Right.
in my opinion. I think that none of this 18 and 21 start nonsense, like, no, none of that. Like, they come out, they have to be like knocking dudes' heads in. Like, this, like, this is, I mean, they have to show that, that last year wasn't just lucky. And obviously it doesn't matter until it comes to the playoffs. But
Sure. But you don't
even though they added
hole.
Malcolm Brogdon, it's like the growth is going to have to come mainly, and we all knew this, but it's going to have to come mainly from within, like from the main, the core, your core guys. Like, it's going to be, Jalen and Jason becoming better ball handlers and better playmakers, as well as, Robert Williams staying healthy, Marcus Smart, continuing to do what he's doing in terms of, being a point guard and, trying to limit, obviously, his bad shot selection, which I know he's been criticized a lot for in the past, definitely reined it in a lot this past year. So I give him kudos to that. He was a big reason as to why the Celtics turned it around in general. Robert Williams staying healthy is obviously going to be, a big part of, how successful they are, because not only is he a defensive anchor, but your front court situation, especially now with Gallinari being out, is pretty shady. I mean, Al or Rob goes down and you're not really in such a great position. I mean, I don't know how much stock they're putting a lot of stock into Luke Cornett. I haven't seen enough to where I'm really confident and trusting that he should be getting rotation minutes like day in and day out.
Yeah.
I would love for him to prove me wrong, but same thing with Sam Hauser. I mean, I don't know. It would be nice if these guys kind of blossomed and were able to give, contributions consistently off the bench, but a lot of the bench is going to have to improve as well. Derek White's going to have to improve his offensive game. I think defensively he's fine, but offensively he's going to have to get that 3-point shot. He's going to have to get that. He's going to have to get that working. He's going to have to get that percentage up. Grant made huge strides last year. I think after Game 7 of after Game 7 of Milwaukee, he kind of disappeared a bit. I mean,
so good.
I know in the finals he only averaged like 4 points. So that Peyton Pritchard, he's just him. It's going to be tough for him, obviously, with the guard situation. I mean, they have Smart, Brogdon, and White, so him getting minutes unless one of them goes down is probably going to be pretty tough. But in general, he's going to have to
shooting guard.
Yeah, he's going to have to, just do what he's doing, just knock down open shots. I mean, that's what he's got to do, because when he's not knocking down open shots, it's kind of, it's like you can't really keep him on the floor. He's too small in defense. He's too small, so defensively he's gonna get switched on to a lot.
Yeah, he's a liability. I was just
exactly, just liability. Yeah. So, I know they're hesitant about trying. Well, not hesitant. Wyc said they have the green light to add, whatever they need to add. I know there's a list of free agents that have not been signed yet. One of the ones that Matt and I had talked about before, it seems like a lot of Celtics fans want, since Gallinari's out, and probably would be the best replacement for Gallinari, is definitely Carmelo Anthony. Well, you don't agree with that? I mean,
I don't know. It's an interesting thing. I don't know. Carmelo is I think he struggles with his role. I think he's definitely like there's a year where he was like he could not, like he was no one wanted him because he refused to be a backup despite being like a role player at best. So but still sometimes he gets in those habits of like, I see him like shooting a lot. I'm like, you really just passed that. Like, you really need to pass it.
I mean, yeah, I understand, but he doesn't. I mean, he's 38 now. Like, I don't think he's going to be, trying to take away shots from anybody at this point. I don't think, he's on the Lakers, which was a drama-filled shit show last year. He seemed to have some of the more, he didn't have many problems on the Lakers. I think at this point, he just wants to win a chip, and he's going to go where he thinks he can best. And I think he'd be a positive locker room influence, if anything. I mean, he was a player that Tatum looked up to when he was growing up. So I think, in terms of just being able to give the younger guys knowledge and be a good locker room veteran, because we don't really have, the only veteran we really have is Al Horford, and he's not really that outspoken. He's more, he'll speak up, but he's not, he's definitely not the most vocal,
Yeah.
Everyone on the team right now kind of leads in their own way. I think, obviously the people would say Marcus is the leader right now, but I think having another vet would definitely be much needed for this team. And
for sure,
obviously defensively, he's not great, but I mean,
but
I think he'll give effort. And
I checked out his numbers for reference, just for listeners and viewers. 440 from field goal, which is a lot better. OKC was hitting like literally 404. So 440 is not amazing, but we're talking about a role player here. 375 from three, that's what we want to hear. An 830 from free throw, not a ton of free throws, but he can hit them. 4 rebounds, assist, a steal, just under a steal, just under a block a game. 13 points per game. I don't like for a guy who I'm pretty sure from what I've watched, it's not a complete trust style. I really do not trust him to play like great D, but we're talking about a guy who's like an eighth, ninth man. I'm happy with that. Like 13 points, 4 rebounds, not horrible defense. I'm not happy about it, but I don't think he's the point to where I feel like he's like a complete negative. I think I'm more sold than before. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, he usually bodies at this point. I mean, I don't think you should be trying to play Tatum and Brown a lot of minutes, especially early in the season.
No.
I think
we talked about last. What do you say?
No, like last year, I mean, I think you kind of saw it, especially with Tatum. I'm not going to give him, total excuse for the finals performance, but I mean, it was pretty obvious to tell that he was pretty gassed. He was pretty gassed. Obviously, part of that is, closing out series when you have the chance. I mean, example, they blew game 5. They had a double-digit lead in game 5 against the Bucks and blew that in the final minutes, and it had to go to game 7. They had to have that masterful, Tatum performance to get it back home to close it out in 7. Miami, game 6 at home, and in a clincher, they ended up losing. Had to go to Miami for game 7, and that was a grueling, deciding game. So I mean, you gotta. It's starting off hot is important because in closing series obviously is important when you have the chance, but I think part of starting off better is that it'll give them a little more cushion, so when they do need to rest guys, they can do that.
Absolutely.
Especially you have Al Horford, who's now coming off like a full season played and a finals run and a year older. Like, you're gonna need to give guys rest where you can, and there can't be like these lazy, like unfocused performances anymore. Like this is like, you guys, like, whether you want to be overrated or not, like you have expectations. Like you're expected, if healthy, to make a deep playoff run and to see noticeable improvements from last year. Like none of these rookie mistakes, none of these silly turnovers that happened multiple times throughout the playoffs that cost you games as well. I mean, I think there was a stat where it's like if they had over 15 turnovers a game, they lost that game every time in the playoffs. So, I mean, you can't, you have to time to tighten up. Like this is, you're not kids anymore. Tatum's now in his fifth?
Probably his 5th or 6th year.
6th. I think it's 6th year.
What's my basketball reference? Big best friend basketball reference.
He was drafted in 2017, so I'm pretty sure.
Yes, he just finished his 5th year, so this is 6th.
Yeah, this is 6th. So now you're getting to that point where now it's like this is where you start figuring it out. And he's obviously still young, but you guys have the roster to if healthy to make a playoff run. Like I said, I still think they need to add like a couple more bodies just to get the minutes, just to try to split up minutes as well as possible, so you do have gas at the end of the season. But I think the team. I think the team.
No, I was gonna say.
Position. Yeah.
Go right. Go. You good?
I think the team's in good position. I mean, there's no reason why, unless injury, that I think they shouldn't be like at least top 3 in the East. I think there's certain tiers of who are contenders and who aren't. Wyc was saying that there's like 6 contending teams that he believes right now. I probably think across the league.
The East or West, yeah.
That's what maybe he was saying across the league, because I mean I don't think outside. I don't think there's really 6 contenders in the East personally.
Let's figure this out. Heat are 1. Sounds like so too.
Yeah, I'm not right.
Bucks are still 3. 76ers, maybe he includes them. And then the Nets. I guess no, he might meet the East if he. So the Nets. So that's an easy top 5. Question is he including the other teams? I've mentioned Raptors. I don't know if they're a contending team just yet. Bulls, no, I don't think so. Hawks, not really. The Cavs, is that what do you think? Either the Hawks or Cavs. The Hawks made the Eastern Conference Finals recently, and the Cavs just got back.
They did get better. I'm definitely very curious to see how that DeJounte Murray and Trae Young backcourt
for sure.
pairing works itself. I'm really
But-
curious about that because there's going to be like a couple teams that are going to be like,
Excuse me.
they're going to surprise people and they're going to be better than people expected, and that's just going to
Right.
be another hurdle you might have to get through in the playoffs. But right now, I think Celtics and Bucks are in that upper echelon right now.
Yep.
Not like totally ahead of teams.
No, just
not
the
but,
top two
but
favorites.
they're like the top two favorites of the East as of now to make it out.
So.
I would have Philly, and I'm not going to write off the Heat because the Heat, they do this every year where they'll be.
Why would you? Wait,
Hmm?
why would you write off the Heat? Why would you write off the Heat? I think the team's the same, right? I mean, they got older.
Well, they
yeah,
lost.
but
People are writing them off. They lost PJ Tucker. They don't really have like a 4, so I think that's kind of their main
that's
struggle right now.
They might take a step back.
But the Heat are always. I mean, the Heat. They're dogs. Like and Eric Spoelstra is a great coach. Jimmy Butler.
For sure.
Jimmy Butler is. He's a dog. He's gonna be. He's going to be ready to start the season. He's going to be gunning for some heads. Bam, great player, see how he develops his offensive game more. I know that's a big kind of gripe with Heat fans is that he's not very aggressive offensively, especially when it comes to better defensive centers. So, but I still think Miami will be like top 5, definitely.
For sure.
Probably like top 4. The Nets is obviously, we have to see who shows up and how that chemistry situation is looking like right now. But the talent is there for the Nets. So if they do figure it out, that's scary regardless. I'm not just going to write off the Nets because, you have someone who barely shows up to work, someone who's mentally kind of can't get over some hurdles with Ben Simmons. And then Kevin Durant, who's just, he's Kevin Durant.
The glue, but he's the glue, but he's not really the strongest glue.
No, he's not. Just horrible leader. So, I mean, if we're being honest, but
definitely for Horford and Smart than Durant when it comes to leading. But not like. Yes, I would not want Kevin Durant as my coach. That's fair.
Yeah. Cavs are sneaky good. I don't think they're a contender, but and then
close.
like you said, you have the Raptors. The Raptors are always tough. I mean,
depends on
depending.
Scotty Bond. Here's the thing. To be honest, there's right now the East is one of the best it's ever been. We had 10 teams above 500. We're talking about historically in conference where teams were making the playoffs with under 500, and this is the regular eight teams without a plan. They were making it and now then we became this top heavy conference where like the best teams like the Cavs and like in the Celtics, Isaiah Thomas Celtics, they had like a super top in the Bucks at one point, this super top heavy conference. But now we are an incredibly deep conference with, like you said, Heat, which despite making a step back almost made the finals last year. Celtics, nearly the same team. Bucks probably got better with Middleton. Nets was 7th seed, but the most talented 7th seed of probably all time. And the 76ers, that's 5 there. And like we said, all the teams we're talking about, the Raptors, Hawks, and Cavs have young players and or improved or both.
Yeah, there's
it's crazy. It's a crazy conference right now.
Yeah, there's like 9 teams that can make the playoffs, and there's only 8 spots. So it's gonna be wild this year, and that's just another part as to why it's like there's no foot off the gas. Like just this isn't a messing around season, because the East is really deep and probably deeper than it has been in a long time.
I don't know. I don't know if ever the East has famously been the lesser conference, despite the Celtics being a great team. But they've been dominated by dynasties. Celtics and the Pistons obviously crossed over, and then the Bulls were dominant, but they're dominant after. Like the teams that they're close to defeating the Bulls felt like to me is the West team. And we're talking about Jordan there anyway. This is a great Eastern Conference. I'm rambling, but yeah, I mean, pedal the metal. You're right, but do we have time to talk about Sarver?
I do want to talk about Sarver. It was reported
briefly.
last year in November,
Yeah.
2021. I'm pretty sure that what it was like misogynistic, misogynist and like sexist comments that he was
Racism.
making around the workplace, as well as racist remarks. I think.
Yep. I have the Wikipedia page open if you want me to read it, but yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
racism,
I also have the
misogyny,
thing open.
sexual harassment, requiring a coach to fire a minority agent, and announce his preference for extra large condoms at a staff meeting, which is just. And then
I did not know about
yeah.
that part.
I don't know. That's just weird.
Oh, so he was on one. Okay.
And then a year, and then they says Salvo and his legal team denied the vast majority of accusations. Mass majority would say not all of them. It's interesting, saying that only a handful of sources on the record. And while the regional reporter have reached out to 70 employees, the article provided no evidence that all of them spoke negatively of the organization. That's maybe true, but and either way, the NBA found that the NBA did do this inquiry. They did find that Salvo was in the wrong and suspend him for a full year after an independent investigation determined that he'd said the N word at least 5 times in public. 4 of those after being told by subordinates that he should not use that word, and sexually harassed and assaulted multiple male and female employees, and engaged in demeaning behavior toward employees. Like, they're talking about the scum of the scum, and the guy is an owner of an NBA team, and is, by the way, is just going to profit off of this. Like, he's not allowed to do anything with the organization, which means he can't be involved with go to the games. I'm assuming can't be involved in decisions. But we're talking about a guy who owns the team. I mean, when you own something, you don't. I mean, I'm sure owners have some obligations, but if I owned a franchise and I hired my general manager and hired everyone, why couldn't I just sit back and just accept and just cash the paychecks?
Exactly. Doesn't really. It's not going to do anything.
And I mean, it's going to be a discussion this entire season. The NBA, NBPA.
Oh, yeah. I get what you're saying.
Totally asked, like the National Basketball Players Association totally asked for his entire removal, which is just like the bare minimum, or not bare minimum, but it's like just a fair amount. We're talking about a team, talking about a league who had Donald Sterling within the last 15 years, and we said he's banned for life. That was the famous Silver quote. And good for Silver. That was a great start to his being commissioner. But we're talking about the Donald Sterling 2.0. He's just it's just depressing. Like it's like the players are doing the right things. They're saying like this guy needs to F off and leave the NBA.
Yeah.
And like they like I said, the NBA fined Sarver the maximum $10 million to spend it for 1 year, and the maximum $10 million is nothing. The guy's a billionaire.
Yeah.
He makes 10. The way he gets his team is from being a businessman, a real estate development. I scrolled up, and then he's also making money off the team. It's BS. The commissioner doesn't want to look out for the league and its basketball, but it's also looking out for the owner's revenue, and that's how many of the players see it. That's how it is. It's the commissioner cannot ostracize the owners because the commissioner is actually paid by the owners. So it's just not a good situation.
Yeah.
And I think what we'll see is I think the players will. Hopefully, the players will. I think I'm optimistic. I think considering we have a history of banning Sterling, I think inevitably he will eventually be kicked out or forced to sell the team, and then make a ton of money off of it.
They're just gonna have to keep the pressure on. That's
for sure.
Keep the pressure on. I just think the NBA should have dug into his pockets a little bit more. Like
they knew exactly. This is like maximum fine. I think. I highly doubt this was not negotiated for years. What the maximum fine would be, and that's a balance of they balanced it in the West. They wanted to, which is let's make a fine that sounds like a lot of money, but is not is so little compared to the owners. And not to mention, like I'm gonna be honest, like this that fine maybe that fine was big at one point, but we're talking about like inflation. Like we're talking about like we're getting billionaires like more and more all the time because it just money goes less now. So 10 million is an absurd amount of money, but it was always been an absurd amount of money, but is less than an absurd amount of money and now than ever, just because of inflation.
Yeah.
And then especially
these
to
top dogs, it's nothing to
I mean,
them.
yeah. It's so. I guess
Pennies.
to our viewers, we're saying like this sucks. Like we're not saying anything new. This is just a crappy situation. There's nothing like we're just venting now, but at least I am. But it's just. I mean, like I think, like I said, putting the pressure on him, putting it in like in an event in like if some of these guys like Sterling was famously like went to like a lot of games, said some really disgusting stuff at those games. But hopefully Salvo will get the James Dolan treatment and just get heckled everywhere. And that's like look, I don't want someone to burn down his house, but we're talking about a guy like this freedom of speech. He said he uses freedom of speech apparently to say the N-word to a bunch of his employees and harass and then which is just gross. But the fact that's I guess maybe that's legal. I don't know. It is legal, but I don't know if it's legal. I don't know if you continue to do that in the NBA. But the harassing of employees it's just illegal completely.
Yeah.
So this is what will happen is hopefully that his consequences will be like consistent harassment the same way anyone should be getting if you this bad. But
yeah,
hopefully it's more than that.
It's just when I saw it, I was like, oh well, I'm not surprised. Like it's just another corporate scumbag being a scumbag. I mean, obviously I feel very bad for the people that had to work under him and deal with that because
that's for sure. That's
true. Obviously working for a professional sports team when it must be I can imagine that's probably a job that people would look forward to having and enjoy.
Yeah,
that's a dream to do that. The fact that all those women and people of color who worked there had to go in and kind of deal with that. It's just I mean, again, it's like this shit's been happening for fucking years, so this is like par for the course, honestly.
Right.
But it's just sad that we're just in a place where it's just kind of you're just used to it. You're not really surprised, or it's just it's you kind of just hate. I just get tiresome hearing about it. Like it needs to be. He needs to be. It needs to be talked about, obviously, and he needs to be, like you said, harassed everywhere he goes. No breaks for him. I mean, that's what you get for being a scumbag. So
consequences of your actions. Just
I don't.
People using the freedom of speech.
Well, yeah, freedom of speech, not freedom of consequence. That's where people really get confused, and people still have that confusion. Yeah, you can say what you can call me an N-word, but if I decide to punch you in the face for that, I don't think you can really get that mad.
I mean, I don't know, like legally, like you can't, but like I'm not
legally you can't.
Like you can't punch someone, but if you like lost your job and like everyone and got disassociated from everything you were like a part of, like that's completely that's fair. That's the concept. That's just. But I mean, I don't know if we can get into it completely because this might be a whole episode for some podcasts. But I think what might hopefully will come up with it is maybe looking back on situations because like this has been not talked about enough, but talked about a little bit is like Salvo is not the only one, and we know that for a fact because just this stuff happens in the scenes. But it also has happened before, which is I don't know if you remember this, but the Mavericks. Famous Mark Cuban like says he didn't know about this, but okay, well, whatever he says. But the Mavericks recently came out like in the last like 3 years, which is they famously had a toxic work environment, which was full of like sexual harassment and like just a environment where like the superiors were using their influence on their subordinates. It's like horrible, and like what happened is we forgot and. We just stopped talking about it. Yep. And Cuban is it's funny because it happens probably works out where Cuban is like kind of is pretty like when you talk to him, like when you hear him talk, he's like actually pretty likable. Like I've never heard Sarver talk, but Cuban like is a lot about like supporting like rights for minorities, people of color, and he's talked a lot about giving back. And I think he's even like pro higher taxes for rich people, which is pretty rare considering he's one of them. But like to be honest, like I respect that part. That's nice, but like he's not like it seems like a part of a cover up. It's either a cover up or just is not enough considering the fact that his own organization is such a crappy one, and we just kind of like gave him a pass. So hopefully, Salvo will be just the first, meaning like not hopefully we don't want to see it happen more, but we already know it's happening. So hopefully we'll see more consequences.
Yeah, stricter punishments on the bullshit.
Yes.
So,
but
yeah. So hopefully we do see the punishments roll out for
Yes.
him. Obviously, whether that does happen or not, we'll see. So that's definitely going to be a story throughout the season. So I'm definitely
For sure.
not happy the situation happened, but I'm looking forward to seeing the drama around it and how it goes, how it all goes down.
Yes.
But
For sure.
thank you guys. We wanted to thank you for tuning in. If you are tuning in to another episode of this, we're still trying to find our footing and everything. Obviously, not totally comfortable being in front of the camera yet, but you know, work in progress.
enough.
Like we said last
For
time,
sure.
it's only up from here. We're gonna keep doing this. Training camp is about. It's about like I think they said on the 26th, so that's like a week
Pretty
away.
soon.
Yeah, that's like a week away. So you know, NBA offseason is always short, and you know, we're excited to start this thing up. So it's going to be great. Training camp will be, and then I think the first preseason game is October 2nd. You know, it's back. You know, we're right around the corner, and then the first game of the season is literally a month out. So
yep. Yeah.
once that all
definitely
happens, we'll have plenty more stuff to talk about, and we'll be giving you guys weekly updates on that. But if you are listening again, thank you very much. We really appreciate all the support, and you guys have a good week.